So hello everyone, my name is Rishikesh Nare. We welcome you to our special series, The Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories. It's an initiative by ETH. The key to Cutting Chai conversation is to have good discussion around the areas of your early life, education to grooming, training, business sense, skill augmentation to work-life balance. I mean, before we begin, let me set the context right, okay? Cutting Chai is a series of candid conversation where we take you through the inspirational journeys of influential people. And you all have seen these personalities in the corporate world, but we are going to take them away from the entire boardroom drama that they always do. So let's have some candid chats around their personal life. And today we have with us Mr. Saurabh Chatterjee, who's the president and head, IT, web sales, and travel, Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. So, Mr. Chatterjee, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Can I introduce Mr. Vinod Ganesan, who's the country head for Cloudera? Welcome. Can you see us?
Yes, Rishi, thank you so much for the introduction. No. And hi, Saurabh. It was a pleasure listening to you, trying to get to know more about you. And I realized that you spent close to about 11 years in Infosys, managing a lot of complex projects. And I think you spent a lot of time in the US. And then you kind of shifted to this side, I mean, the other side, right? Where you joined ICICI Lombard, and I think you moved to India. So how was your experience of moving from this part of the world to the other side? What kind of adjustments you had to make to kind of seamlessly fit in here?
Sure. No, thanks, Vinod. Good to hear from you as well. For me, the decision to move was a personal decision. My dad was not keeping well, and this was a lot of back and forth happening, and we said, let's take a call, because in the larger interest of life, careers can be made wherever you have your, as long as you're good, you can do whatever you want. So we actually had very good careers, both me and my wife. Lock, stock and barrel 2011, we moved to India. And imagine all the Indians, during those days, and I don't know about now, but even those days, everyone wanted a green card and a citizenship. We gave up our green cards. We 1 year into a US citizenship, we gave up our green cards. Lock, stock, barrel came back to India after spending 12 consecutive years there. So but as a decision, I don't think we regretted it then, nor we regret it now. Right? It was very clear. The reason and the intent was family. Career just happened along with it. And now looking back, I think the thing I talked about, risk, right? That was also an element of risk. When I look at my friends, people have spent their careers in IT services. I would have never gone on the other side, right? Which is, being from IT services to being a client and, being on the insurance side. Even though my clients in Infosys, I was always in insurance and financial services, so that as a domain, right? But coming back on this side, it would have never happened had this not happened. And the kind of amazing experiences I've had, in my ICICI days, in my Bajaj days, the kind of people I have met, my current boss, my current CEO, Mr. Tapan Singhal, the kind of amazing individuals, the freedom I have been given, to create things, right? I don't think that would have ever happened. So I think in one line, if I can, answer that, if the intent is good, right, everything falls in place. And finally, I would say even career-wise, it has worked out beautifully for me. Look at someone graduating in 99, right? And then I went to INSEAD in 2013-14 for 20, 21, 22 years playing a CIO, CDO role along with tech. I run the P&L for digital, right? And in the company, and sit on one of the boards of a Bajaj Group company. I don't think this would have happened at this age in an economy like the US. Because insurance and financial services, people need to spend their time 25, 30 years before you get to CXO roles, right? True. India obviously is a different ball game, right? So even career-wise, it worked out. So as long as the intent is good, I think I say, everything works out.
Awesome. I think you had a very strong motivation to come back, and your pedigree of managing insurance customers in your previous role, I think even that would have helped in some sense to kind of maintain that continuity, right?
Yes.
So
yes,
good to hear that. But I have an interesting question here. So talk to me about the storyteller in you. I heard that you're part of a charity where you actually, create audiobooks for visually impaired children. So what kind of excited you to kind of do that?
See what happens in these days. I'll be honest. Every day you keep hearing about so many things, right? There are so many, what do you say, things which you're not happy about in the world. Now, what is the way you can contribute? Is what I was thinking always about. In the sense that how can I contribute? Now, when you start contributing, there are so many ways. If you get into something where it's not your passion or you are not providing or adding value, right? I mean, you can volunteer outside by giving food also, you can volunteer by giving money also. I believe that effort is something completely different. And if your passion matches that, I think that's probably both the worlds, coming together of this thing. Then the entire exercise seems like you're actually very happy and excited to do something like that. So when my HR team came to me, and honestly, they came to me, the HR team came to me as an initiative around that here are the 5 or 7 things where we are working with an NGO, to contribute to the society. I picked up something which came very naturally to me, and it was around audiobook recording. I listened to audiobooks myself. So imagine, and this was for blind children who could not, see. Reading, I told, has always been my passion. I just talked about that to Rishikesh. I listen to audiobooks. I used to do that even, during a lot of my drives, to office and even in the US on public transport. I learned a lot from it. So imagine when something like this came along for a set of children who could not experience this. I believe it's a wonderful way for me to make an effort to contribute to that. The good part was we could encourage a lot of, not just our employees or my colleagues, but their children to participate in it. And this is something that I intend to, continue to do that. So it was more around, I won't lie, it is not the, the charitable person in me, trying to do something. No, these individuals are perfectly capable. They are self-sustaining themselves. Many people who have, things, difficulties seeing things are very bright individuals. But a very interesting book, or interesting books which can make this come alive, right, for them, is something is the least that we can do. And I think, and we had fun reading the book. I mean, the book that we read, and the things that are, there are more things that are there in the pipeline. I think I enjoyed the book more than actually giving it back, or my kid enjoyed that much more than when you make this a family, when you make this a passion, giving and doing some of these activities actually makes you very happy, and that has been the intent.
Interesting, Saurabh. I also read that you've been teaching robotics to the students in the community at US. So you worked a lot with children. So if I may ask, are there any leadership lessons that we could learn from children?
Yeah, I think the number one leadership lesson that we learn from children is be in the moment, right? Don't fret about what is there in the past or what's coming in the future. They live in the moment, and you have to make those sort of decisions while you are there. I think number two, what I've learned always, they're very, very, what do you say, they're very receptive. Their EQ sort of is very high. Right? You could see it in their face. If they're angry, they'll show it to you. If they're, happy, it'll, and they don't keep anything within them, right? It's out. Right? It's out there, right?
Right.
The older we get, the more, more we tend to sort of camouflage our emotions, around it. And this is a very interesting leadership lesson, I would say, because a lot of leaders I've seen, and they're very successful in their own space, but very high on IQ, right? But not necessarily high on EQ. And beyond a certain point, whether it is motivating your teams, whether it is developing the connections, the network, as you more and more, grow in your careers, I think these things become very important. And many of these are driven by the connections that you make and the EQ that you have, EQ that you, develop. Sort of, the relationships that you maintain, understanding the other person, not necessarily being the smartest in the room.
Got it. Couldn't agree more, Saurabh. I think these days we do get a lot of lessons on being your authentic self. I think that's the most talked about virtue in a leadership, right? And who better than children? They are the perfect role models for us to really learn and imbibe those values. So I couldn't agree more. Obviously, if I were to switch on to your professional side, right, the general insurance industry over the last 2 years obviously has been witnessing a lot of challenges. So you being at the helm of technology and responsible for the digital strategy, what kind of innovation you and your team drove to kind of help tide through this situation? And is there any, based on your experience, any advice that you would like to give to your peer groups who are facing similar challenges?
So I'll answer the second part first.
Okay.
See, in peer groups as well as with teams, I've always believed in one thing: in learning continuously. So they would have done things, which I would have missed or we would have missed, right? So it's not an advice. I would not give any advice. I'll actually learn. It's a continuous learning. And you learn from everyone, whether it's peer group, whether it is my own team. But coming back to your first question, the kind of work that we have done, which has helped us. I think very early in the pandemic, even before I think March 23rd, 2020, before when the Prime Minister announced the first lockdown, I think around 10 days before that, we had everything ready in terms of remote working. We had done our drill for thousands of people, working from a remote location from their homes. We had upgraded the bandwidth. We have ensured that our applications were working in a sort of outside our DC in a cloud environment. And that requires a lot of aspects, right? Not all applications are ready, to work in that kind of an environment, right? From security, access management to a lot of other things. So one of the biggest things there was, number one, prepare for all eventuality always, right? When the disaster strikes, we tend to talk about the DC, DR, RTO, RPO, those technical aspects, but finally it is about being ready at any given point of time. So investments in digital have to be continuous, and we were ready. We were 3 years into our transformation journey, third year. Whereas very simple things like having most of our assets were portable assets in the form of laptops. Most of it, not all, of course, but then very simple, being ready for some of these, or virtual desktops, right? These were there. We didn't have to think about it. It was not a panic reaction. So being ready is one part. The second thing is the entire value chain from an insurance standpoint. We had realized again early on that it had to be low touch. Now I say this specifically. Insurance is a conversational sale, and it has to be with empathy, right? Claims time, you cannot cry, as this is, I borrow it from my CEO, who says you can't cry on the shoulder of Siri or shoulder of Google, right? Where he say, where you need that emotional support. So insurance during claims time is a lot of empathy. However, the process has to be made simple and has to be made low touch. What we ensured is a lot of tools, whether it is for our customers, for our partners, for our employees. We had created those, and we rapidly scaled them in the first 6 to 8 weeks. Very simple example is our AI and ML enabled chatbot. Right? Now, chatbot is a chatbot, right? But as long as it is backward integrated with the core and with our value chain, and it is able to do a lot of things in a self-service way, right, and understand you, right? At least to get that transaction done, were the capabilities that we had invested. And I mean, I can go on and on about, what we did with cloud, what we did with, the application, but primarily simple tools, almost like, across the value chain at each part, not just the sale part, not just the issuance part. Claims is the moment of truth, right? In any insurance business. As long as you do that well, you get the customer to your side, right? As long as you pay on time, pay on everything that is part of the policy, and be transparent and open. Even if you say I will pay 95%, but this 5% I'm not paying because this is not covered in the policy. As long as you are being transparent, right? The trust factor, as long as you are able to maintain that, then I think it doesn't matter, and the transparency and the trust is there. So simple tools across the value chain is what we invested in and what worked for us, which enabled the self-service. And it's not just for customers, even for our large intermediary force, even for our employees. So that's how, those are the things that we created.
Awesome, sir. I think that's a very practical tip. A lot of time we mull with a lot of complex processes and technologies, and in that process, that overpowers the whole implementation itself, right? So simplicity is the key, and I couldn't agree more.
Simplicity and clarity, Vinod. Simplicity and clarity. I don't think there is, we techies, heart at the heart. I'm a techie, right? I'm a digital enthusiast. I call myself, but at the heart, I'm a techie, right? I can still code. I can still get into, a lot of, get my hands dirty. Obviously, doing at one level strategy and then getting on to, the other thing. But if we keep complicating things, I think it makes it more and more, you lose the original purpose. That is the key. As long as you've kept the purpose and the stakeholders in mind, tech can really do wonders.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And of course, again, as someone who heads technology, right? How do you choose your technology partners? I mean, what kind of values and virtues do you look for in your partnership?
Yeah. I think I only ask for one thing, right? When I look at partners, I say what's in it for you, and how will you put your skin in the game. It depends on what are you evaluating. When you're evaluating for a very specific reason or a purpose, a technology partner, if they are usually either leaders or challengers in their field, I don't think we can evaluate their product in few days or few weeks or by doing one or two POCs, right? I mean, that's out there, right? To see and experience. The key thing is, how are they willing to work with you? How are they willing to engage with you? Are they willing to be partners in the entire journey, or is it a transactional assignment for them? As long as that is clear, of course, the strength of the product has to speak for itself. I'm saying everything else being equal, right? I mean, my team can do a much better job, rather than say me coming in and asking, 5 different things. But then I look for only one thing, right? What's in it for them? How we can create a win-win. It is not a one-sided game, and about the partnership. If we can create these three, I think that's how we look. What we look for in our partners.
Got it, Saurabh. I guess thanks so much. I mean, those were real valuable insights that you provided, and it was absolute pleasure talking to you and getting to know better. So sure. I thoroughly enjoyed this interaction.
No, thanks. It was really interesting to talk to you, Ajay.
No, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. And this is for me. It is always a pleasure watching two personalities like this. Okay, because what happens to me is I collect all the information. Okay, I go out there and then start preaching people. Technology mein ye hota hai. And then after 5 minutes I say, yaar, ye mera nahi hai, because I know you can't act after a certain point of time. So, but this is where I get to know all these insider information, and I really enjoy that. Most of you guys, I think 99% or 100% of the people, they believe in knowledge and they believe in knowledge sharing. And that's the constant part that I have seen in all the CXOs or CTOs I've interviewed, So, yeah. So I'm
same thing for us, Rishikesh, just to interrupt you. I'm kuch nahi pata. Hum bhi seekh hi rahe hain. From you also I learned, and from Vinod also I just learned. So I'll also repeat it.
So when you hear the closing part of it, so when I do the closing of the show, when you hear that, you will say, yaar, maine line chura hai, lekin trust me. So what I do usually is, when you guys are discussing, I make my notes. So I do the closing part about the person that I'm interacting with. Now, when I do the closing, you will say, yaar, ye aapne line churai hai, lekin trust me, I have written those lines before you said it. Okay. So that was Saurabh Chatterjee for you guys. I mean, he carries an aura that depicts simplicity and clarity with his ideology and actions. He does a ton of things, but he doesn't look tired at all. I don't know what's the mechanism. He believes in nurturing the concept of encouragement. And that's the best way to amplify your efforts, be corporate or social commitments. So yes, that was Saurabh for you guys. Thank you so much, Saurabh, for your time. Again, it's a pleasure for me to get to know things, the personal side of yours. Pleasure. I'm going to steal so many things, so many concepts, but definitely I'll make sure that I give the due credit to that person wherever I've got that thought from.
Thank you, Rishikesh. It was my pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed interacting with you and Vinod, and look forward to. As I end, I think All I would like to say is just be happy, stay safe, healthy, and just be simple. Let's keep things simple and have a childlike enthusiasm in everything. I think that solves all problems.
I mean, I can't tell you how happy I am when I got to know that even in US they don't have the UPI system. So that's how the place, that's how our country is moving. And just I ignore the negative part of it. Whenever people talk about it, I ignore it, but I see the positive side of it. The way our country is moving, one fine day, we'll get there.
No, we're already ahead of them in many things, so obviously, at scale, things that we can do at scale, I don't think anyone would have done. And even in the US, people who are driving force behind a lot of these things are actually Indians.
I know, that's a great thing to hear. So again, thank you so much. We'll see you around somewhere in the corporate circle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, have a great day.